Hello, everyone. This is Jacqueline Miller, and thank you for joining me as a part of the Unconference 2016 event that is coming up in just a few weeks. This is an amazing event, and I am honored to be a part of it. So with that said, I'm going to move ahead with my webinar because time is tight, and I have so much information that I want to share with you. All right, let's get it started. Let's get this party started. All right, well, in this busy world in which we live, folks, you're always going to hear people give all sorts of reasons why they haven't yet created a product, put together a membership site, started building a list, or even just started that exercise program. And you know what? Everything they say is probably valid. Every excuse that they probably give you is valid. But when you pull back the layers of their reasons, you'll also likely find somewhat procrastination, which is why I really wanted to present this webinar on procrastination to purpose. 7 ways to get your life, and I threw in the word, back on track. You know, we all do it. We're all guilty of some level of procrastination for different reasons. You know, we all have trigger points and we all procrastinate in different ways. Myself included. My name again is Jacqueline Miller, and I am a life strategist. I'm a coach, I'm a speaker, and I'm an author. And I help mothers gain clarity about their life purpose beyond motherhood, providing them with resources and strategies to successfully manage self, family, career, and the almighty dollar, their finances. But you know what? I was once the queen. I was once that queen of procrastination. Yes, I wore the perfectionist crown. And like many people, I was consumed by the I'll do it tomorrow mindset. I'll get to it tomorrow mindset, as if there's such a guarantee of life. It doesn't exist. And in 2002, I was shown exactly why that approach to life is unwise. When my husband did not wake up on Super Bowl Sunday 2002, I became what I referred to as a suddenly single mom, attempting to be super mom, super exec in my demanding corporate career, and self-care was non-existent. Who out there can relate to that? My job was sucking the life out of me, yet I procrastinated when it came to exploring other possibilities, more fulfilling possibilities for my life. And why? Because I never allowed myself or my needs to be a priority. I just didn't give myself that permission. So like many people in corporate America, the day came several years later when my presence and my contributions were no longer, they were no longer needed. And the job that I thought I couldn't survive without and they couldn't survive without me, that job was no longer mine. I was the victim of downsizing. So here I was, the woman who never took time for herself, who was now jobless, as one of my sons was about to leave for college. And I was now in that, oh Lord, what next mode. I was desperate for direction and resolution. And yes, I'm keeping it real. I was very concerned about my finances. And procrastination leads to panic in most cases. And in my situation, there was no exception. So I want to get beyond that gloom and doom. I want to fast forward through all of that, and I want to depress you, but I needed to just show you a little bit about where I came from to where I am now. This slide right here, this is I call it my kick procrastination to procrastination phase of my life. And this one slide here, it is simply a reflection of some things that I got done in 1 year's time, and it is not by any means a way of bragging, of boasting. I put this slide together so that I can show all of you who are guilty of procrastination just how powerful your dreams can be if you kick procrastination to the curb. It can be done. Do not allow it to take control and ruin your life. Procrastination is no joke, folks. It has the power to get inside of our minds, and it has us doing things that we never thought we'd be guilty of. Procrastination, I like to say, is a drug. For example, a copywriter might procrastinate by doing endless research on a project. She's not sitting around twiddling her thumbs. She's not shopping on QVC. She's doing real work for her project, and her project is a priority. But the project deadline is approaching, and she hasn't started writing. She should have probably started writing 2 days ago. What is she doing? Procrastinating. Now, the big question is why? Her procrastination, triggers could have something to do with, just for example, self-confidence. Or she may find the subject intimidating that she's working on or too technical. She may not know how she's going to spin a simple subject into an entire ebook. Or her client for this particular project could be difficult to work with, and she's just dreading that next conversation. All of these are different, legitimate, potential problems, but they all lead to procrastination. Now, is the manner in which she's coping with all of this wrong? No. She's not avoiding the project itself. She's just avoiding putting pen to paper and doing the real work. She's doing research, which can be helpful for the project, especially when you're not familiar with a subject, but there is such a thing as too much, research. So what you have to do when you know you're guilty of procrastination is get to the root cause. And here's a saying that, I live by, and I'm sure all of you who are reading this have heard of it before. Those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. And this certainly applies to people who procrastinate and beat themselves up over and over again. And then what happens? They go and continue procrastinating some more. But it's not so much a case of remembering the past as it is in not understanding why we procrastinate. You have to get at the root cause of why you procrastinate. And when you do that, you have a much better chance of coming up with tactics to put a stop to it. So let's look quickly at some of the most common reasons for procrastinating. Here are a couple right on this screen. Did any of these ring a bell with you? More than one? And if so, hey, welcome to the human race. Most of us have experienced these reasons once, perhaps more than once in a while. But here's the number one all-time common reason for procrastination. Doing so has simply become a habit. Now, let's look at the definition of habit. And we don't have to go further than Google or a dictionary for the simplest, most succinct definition. Habits are formed through repetition. The pathways of our brains are literally trained to repeat the habitual response to any situation. And the more you do it, the harder it is to change that response. Think of it like walking that same exercise route every day for those of you who exercise, and you're taking that shortcut through the backwoods, through that tract of grass, because it gets you to your destination and back 10 minutes quicker. Now, if you take this shortcut through this grass every single day for a month, for example, you've worn down a nice smooth track in that grass. So when your friend decides she's going to walk with you one morning and she suggests that you go a different way, that scenic route, the one that involves an extra 10 minutes, the one, that'll have you rushing when you get back home because it took you longer, you're probably going to decline that offer and continue following that nice, smooth path that you created. Why? Because your brain has allowed you to create a habit. And as they say, repeat the habit of procrastination often enough, and it becomes the path of least resistance. Your brain has now become hardwired to procrastinate when it's faced with trigger situations. And this is just human nature. So if it's happening to you, you're not a failure. You're only doing what all of us have done at some point in our lives. I've already confessed to being the queen of procrastination at one point in my life. But what I recommend you do instead is find a motivator that is more powerful than that darn habit, and a strategy or a tactic that is best suited to your root causes for procrastination and your personality traits. One that will help you overcome that bad habit and create a new one. So no matter what your most common reason is for procrastinating, you have to take a two-step approach if you're going to have any opportunity of stopping this bad habit. And number one is understanding the cause of your procrastination and stopping your habitual response. Now, I could give you a ton of reasons why we procrastinate, but for the sake of time, I'm going to move into some suggested resolutions. So let's talk about those 7 ways to get your life back on track that I promised you. And please try out the ones that resonate most with you, or try them all out. You might be surprised at what works for you. The first one is the reminder strategy. Create for most of us, creating a new structure or an organization routine in our lives, in our homes, is usually not the perfect cure for everybody, but it might be your perfect strategy. Really, you have to take a look underneath that. The key that lies in taking that twofold action we talked about, identifying the cause of your procrastination and then applying the right type of reminder system. For example, something as simple as tacking a colored sticky note on your laptop, at the top of your laptop screen, might be an unexpected, powerful habit breaker for you. So if you regularly spend half the morning on Facebook, like many people do before getting started with your work, your note might say something like, no Facebook today, or no Facebook, this week. If that doesn't work for you, then set your reminder up in the form of an alarm that'll trigger every morning, that's going to beep at you to remind you it's time to get off Facebook. Give you another example. If lack of confidence is your issue, then your big bright reminder sticky note might list a big reward, or 2 or 3, depends on how greedy you are, that you'll give yourself if you get down to business and make those phone calls, for example, that you despise making and regularly conveniently forget to make. But here's a tip. Use the same color of sticky note for your most important reminders. Why? Because that way, even if you fall by the wayside at first, your brain will create a new pathway the instant it sees that bright pink or yellow or red or whatever color sticky note that you decide to use, and it sees it slapped on your laptop or on your bulletin board. That pathway in your brain will inform you, that pathway that you've created by using that same color, it's going to inform your brain, this task is important, it's urgent, because she used XYZ color sticky note. It seems simple, but I'm telling you, it works. And then when you take down that sticky note because you completed that dreaded or hated task, it just leaves you feeling so satisfied because you've accomplished something that you probably would have put off a week or 2 ago. Now, especially if you are a perfectionist, and perfectionists tend to procrastinate the most, we tend to make things harder than they have to be. Sometimes the simplest solutions, like that big colorful sticky note, can be the most effective tactic. Don't sleep on it. Don't sleep on it. Next, the next recommended strategy or task or tactic that I suggest is outsourcing. If you really hate doing a task, or if it is really outside of your skill set and or interest, why are you forcing yourself to do it? If finances allow, hire yourself a VA, a virtual assistant, or excuse me, you can get an intern who'll perform your most dreaded tasks for you. Or if you're surrounded with some talented folks, and surrounding yourself with talented people is important in business, swap tasks. If you have a friend that's good at web design and you're good at something else, blogging or some form of writing, swap tasks. Hey, swap tasks. Take advantage of those friendships. Nobody on this planet says you have to totally master every single task that needs to be done in your business. Doesn't have to happen. Method 3, find and use your unique accountability tactic. Now, we all know accountability is a big buzzword right now, and life would be wonderful if we could just fully embrace the whole concept in the form of just knuckling down and just getting it done. You tried this whole accountability approach solo and it hasn't worked. Try adding an accountability partner or a group to the mix. I had to do that. Now, if you're more comfortable with accountability groups and with single partners, look for and find the right group. And if one doesn't exist to support your task or your process, come on, you're a go-getter. Start the group yourself. And once you get that accountability partner or you join that group, you need to make the act of checking in with that group become a habit. And don't overcomplicate things. People who procrastinate are wonderful overcomplicators and overthinkers, as we already know, because that's why you're watching this webinar, because you're probably guilty, like I was, of being a procrastinator. Again, set an alarm or a pop-up on your laptop, get a reminder app, or sign up for a reminder service. Chances are, and I know it happened with me, you've probably told yourself a million times, just do it, just get it done. And guess what? It hasn't worked. But give it a try one more time, because knowing that someone other than you will be holding you accountable for something is a huge procrastination buster. And keep reminding yourself that feelings follow actions, not the other way around. First, get into the habit of just doing it instead of waiting around to feeling like doing it. Method 4, the humble to-do list. Now, you might be saying, but Jacqueline, I tried that before, and to-do lists just don't work for me. Well, one of the common reasons they don't work is because all of us, especially perfectionists, tend to overcomplicate things. They don't kiss it, keep it simple, stupid. And what is the result? They end up looking like punishment sheets when they're done. So here's a strategy that can work for anybody, no matter what the root cause of your procrastination is. Create a simple, and I mean really simple, to-do list. Put only one procrastination point on it and leave the remaining 2 or 3 check boxes blank. Call it something else. If the simple words to do trigger you into a frenzy of procrastination, call it a life-changing list or an action step list, something that recharges or inspires you. And more importantly, it doesn't trigger those feelings of failure or the urge to run away from the task. Or, you know what, to keep it even anything, just print it out, put your one big priority item on there, and focus on getting it done today. Keep your customized to-do list handy. Put a fresh copy on your desk, every day, so that it's completed by the end of the night. So when you wake up the next morning, hey, your number one priority is there. And when that's done, then you can focus on other things. The simple to-do list is underrated. I say it all the time. And it's usually not a success because people tend to fill it with way too many tasks. So they end up looking like a list full of should-dos instead of need-to-dos. And then people tend to overfill it. Okay, focus on your top single priority, your big procrastination point, the habit that you really want to change and get out of the way. The moment you see that list in the morning, do that one thing, and you'll soon create a habit of success. So I'm going to just go back a second. I want to go back to this blog. So if you never ever write, posts for your blogs, the blog you promised you would help your clients with, and you beat yourself up every day over it, overcome that habit of not writing that blog by creating a to-do list that only focuses on that blog. You see that thing here? It just says write that blog post. So when you write that, say today, tomorrow, write that darn blog post before you fill in any other slots on this list. And I say only when that post is written and posted on your website or in your newsletter, should you then fill in the main priorities for the remainder of the day. Because what will happen is you get into the habit of sitting down and writing a blog post every morning. And then you realize, hey, this is becoming a habit. I've got this, okay? Next, it's something called the Zeger Net Effect, When we finish this webinar, I would love it if you would check out a short but excellent article by a woman named Jessica Stillman. And the article is called 5 Scientifically Proven Ways to Beat Procrastination. What she does in this article is digs into the psychology of procrastination, and she breaks it down into easy, understandable languages. Above all, she talks about the Zeger Net Effect, where unfinished tasks, those tasks we typically procrastinate on doing, they float around in our memory and they nag us all day, and they cause us negative feelings such as guilt and shame. So what she says is, this is also, these things, the reason that this is happening is because if we're not using a to-do list, our brain is afraid we're going to forget them. So these things that need to get done start floating around in our head until we write down these items on our to-do list. Creating a to-do list, according to her, calms the Zeger Net effect. Okay, method 5. Look for the sticking point. We often procrastinate on tasks, not because the task itself is hard, but because there's a step in the process that always derails us. So if you eliminate that step, or you find a more effective way to get past it, often the urge to procrastinate disappears. That task becomes easy, or sometimes it even becomes enjoyable. So first we have to identify that big procrastination point. So for example, if you've been procrastinating, not keeping up with your dental care because you have to pass your ex's house to get there, you either need to find another route to the dentist, or you need to get a new dentist. Raggedy teeth should not be an option in this case. Okay, method 6, look for the reward. When you talk about rewards, most people, and I say most people, we tend to focus on the big rewards, the mansions, the 7 figures, we're going to be on TV, but it's important to build in smaller rewards along the way. It's like starting that journey with a single step. You need those little rewards to motivate you toward the big rewards. You can even factor in, rewards into your to-do list. For example, I need to drink 8 glasses of water a day. So I have on my to-do list, I have 8 boxes. So as I drink those glasses of water, I cross them out, and it's sort of a reward because I know I only got 3 more to go. Rewards should be a built-in part of any procrastination busting habit changing strategy. Both the long-term rewards and those all-important little immediate ones are important. It's just human nature. We like to do what's pleasurable, and if something is painful in any meaning, any form of fashion, we're just not gonna go out of our way to create a habit of doing it. Number 7, create the right space. A lack of organization leads to chaos and confusion, not just for those with ADHD or right brain people, but just for everyone. So this doesn't mean you have to operate from 15 planners and have buzzers going off every 15 minutes, of course, unless that's your type of thing. But what it really means is getting rid of anything that is blocking you from achieving your goals. Do it now. Plan to declutter at least one area of your life, so that you can feel like chaos isn't taking over. Some people find the easiest place to start is with their work area. I know it was for me, starting in your office. Clean up your desk, get everything off it that doesn't need to be there, that doesn't inspire you. Place things there that do inspire you, whether it be a mantra, a quote, some flowers. Keep fun things on your desk. I have an adult coloring book. I'm good for doodling, and it comes in handy when I need to just take a quick, relaxing break. Go through your office and donate, throw out, relocate anything in that office that doesn't inspire you, that may be sucking the energy out of you. That's just redundant. That's just not needed. Okay, and once you've decluttered your work area and you see how that's working for a few days or weeks, then get on to organizing and decluttering other areas of your life, including those energy draining relationships or commitments that you made out of coercion or guilt. That committee you joined last week, you really didn't want to, but you did. Stop doing that. When you do get busy doing this, don't get over anxious and try to do everything at once. Start with your desk, then set aside 15 minutes a day or an hour per week, specifically for organization and decluttering. Next, get your life. What do you want? Get clear on it. What do you love? Define your why. What would you take a stab at if you knew you wouldn't fail? Find your passion. Find your purpose. Get help. Don't be afraid of that four-letter word. Please stop the procrastination. It's killing us. Get in action. Get committed. As I say all the time, hashtag, that's my hashtag, get your life. And sleep can be dangerous, folks. So many of us are out here sleeping on our dreams, sleeping with the enemy, but we have to remember sometimes we have to dig deep because the enemy may actually be us. And here's a quote that I just love by my girl, Lisa Nichols. I'd rather die leaping than sitting on the edge trying to get the courage to leap. Keep that in mind. Get in action. Now, last but not least, let's all slay procrastination. Go to my website and grab your freebies, www.slayprocrastination.com. There, I have a list of helpful tools and strategies that I couldn't cover in this time frame that are going to continue helping you slay procrastination. And I have 21, that's right, 21 more ways to put an end to what's holding you back. Do it. www.slayprocrastination.com. No procrastinating. Do it. Do it. And you can reach me, Jacqueline Miller, at thejacquelinemiller.com. I'm also on social media, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, Periscope. And my handle is Mogul Mom du Jour. All right. I am going to take off my glasses. Procrastinating. I haven't been gone to the eye doctor like I needed to. But I want to thank you all for joining me for this webinar. I apologize for that. I've enjoyed it. I'm enjoying being a part of this conference. It's going to be phenomenal. Thank you, Allison Bird, for this opportunity. And ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me for my webinar, Procrastination to Purpose. Find your camera, Jacqueline. Procrastination to Purpose, 7 ways to get your life back on track. Let's do it. The world is waiting for your greatness and your gifts. No more procrastination. Thank you. Have a good night. Have a good afternoon.